Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending by taking reactions to the media party organized by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Wike, who criticized former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amaechi, stating that Amaechi is hungry for power and not food. Wike's comments came in response to Amaechi's recent remarks at his 60th birthday celebration, where he claimed to be hungry and suggested that the opposition could remove President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the 2027 presidential election. Wike dismissed Amaechi's statements as politically motivated and an insult to Nigerians. Let's take a look.
8 years as Speaker of Rivers State House Assembly, 8 years as Governor of Rivers, you never talked about hunger. You became a minister for 2015 to 2023. 8 years, super minister, transport, where you were borrowing money for every bad loans. You didn't talk about hunger. 2 years you have left office. I'm in coalition because I'm hungry. You're only hungry of power. And that's just failure on his part. How do you look at it? How do you insult Nigerians? How do you treat the issue of hunger or poverty? Why do you do that? You're insulting Nigerians. You joined Atiku. You joined El Rufai because you are hungry. Have you not insulted Nigerians? Just that you can't stay out of power. That's the hunger. You can't stay out of power.
Well, all right. Let me take this reaction from David Offo, who wrote, Wike really took Amaechi to the cleaners. I mean, how can a man that was in power for 24 years, controlled billions of dollars, come out to insult ordinary citizens that he is hungry? Wike also spoke on how CRA hasn't achieved 25% in Rivers State for his candidates since 2015. And he's absolutely right. Wike made a lot of comments regarding, Amaechi's statements, not just Amaechi's statements, during his 60th birthday party. But, we've seen Governor Minister Nyesom Wike attack the opposition in this manner. But and people have really condemned some of the things that he has said. Let me take this tweet from Soprila, who wrote, Amaechi starts any celebration by thanking the Odilis and the role they played in his life. Amaechi has never insulted the Odilis in spite of their disagreements. Wike, on the other hand, claims nobody made him and has even insulted those who made him publicly. #character. Meanwhile, the APC has strongly criticized former Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amaechi, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and former Kaduna State Governor Atiku El Rufai, accusing them of being displaced rent seekers driven by a desperate desire for power rather than genuine concern for Nigerians. The APC, through its National Publicity Secretary, Felix Morka, dismissed criticism made by the trio at Amaechi's 60th birthday lecture, where they condemned President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's economic reforms, alleging that the government was weaponizing poverty. Felix Morka stated that the trio has held various high political offices for a combined 24 years and failed to address poverty or structural economic challenges during their time in power. And I'll read a part of his statement. The statement was posted on Bayo Ononuga's X account, and they wrote, the APC strongly rejects the baseless allegation that the APC government of President Bola Tinubu was weaponizing poverty by not eradicating the scourge in 2 years, a feat they themselves failed to achieve during a quarter of a century in power. These three individuals have occupied Nigeria's highest political offices between 1999 and 2023, in all 24 years. The trio, individually or collectively, could not and did not eradicate poverty in their states or country. They did not even attempt to address, let alone tackle, the structural challenges and distortions that stifled the economy and worsened poverty over the years. Rather, they reveled in mindless, rent-seeking behavior, sold national assets to their cronies for mere pittance, engaged in corrupt and wasteful expenditures in their states, and relentlessly sponsored state violence against their own people. That was a very, very detailed statement by Felix Morka. A lot of allegations there as well. Rufai Oseni, a comment from you on both stories.
Oji,
yes.
We need to make season film about these politicians
Yes.
when they fight, because they're very funny. So, Wike is saying that Amaechi didn't fix anything. He was talking about Amaechi benefiting from God. What did he do about poverty and all of that? For me, all of them are the same, as far as I'm concerned. Because when Governor Wike was governor, I did ask him, why such a high level of unemployment rate in Rivers? He says he's been doing building projects and bridges to be able to fix that. And I pointed out to him the National Bureau of Statistics says otherwise. The question is, this same Minister Amaechi that was in the last government is at loggerheads with this government, 2 APC fighting. And then the 2 fighting. Edieme 2 fighting. So look at them. Mm-hmm. These were the same people that said APC is the antidote to PDP's problems. Mm-hmm. And they came in, but look at them, pointing accusing figures of betrayal. The videos are there. Mm-hmm. The day Mama Peace was with Minister Wike. I think I've seen that video. So, but the truth is, they get into power, they feel they're larger than life. And he that is saying, oh, Amaechi has enjoyed the good of the land, from local government chairman, he rose of the rank. Mm-hmm. This was the same Amaechi that he worked for. This was the same Amaechi that at a point he couldn't look in the eyes. Was his boss, like you pointed out rightly. In fact, people have also told me the level of deference Wike has from Amaechi. I don't want to say it in public because this thing was told to me on that Chatham House room to show you how much he revered Amaechi then. But once they are not together in politics, all becomes war. So please, the question you should ask them is, what have they done with River States? With the kind of wealth that has passed through River State, why are people still living in poverty? And that question is for both of them. Right. Secondly, as regards Felix Morka, that's abusing the trio and also added Peter, because you see, now, anything they will add Peter Obi, because I don't know how Peter Obi came into this matter now. They will add Peter Obi. What we should ask Felix Morka is, President Tinubu, he forgets that President Tinubu was also a governor in Lagos. What did he do in Lagos? How did he revolutionize or remove poverty and all of that? Are we not saying Lagos is stinking? Has Lagos turned to paradise under President Tinubu? President Tinubu has held prominent roles in politics in this country, from being a senator. What did he do to reduce poverty? He is now president. In the first 2 years, what has he done to reduce poverty? His policies that he says are working, hope he knows. They said that policy was going to add 13 million. It was the World Bank. 13 million people were going to be put into the poverty mark because of those policies. Today, those policies has devalued the lives and the living conditions of people. Today, those policies have led to an uptick in inflation. An average Nigerian is crying and suffering. His government argues that, oh, things are on the uptick and everything. See, I want to celebrate that level of success, but there's a lot of pain and penury in the land.
Well, all right. Dr. Abati.
Okay, earlier on, I commented on Minister Nyesom Wike's attack on Rotimi Amaechi, his former boss. And I raised issues using the trope I will teach in tragedy and other tragic forms in dramaturgy, hubris, amasia, to say that this is about a flaw of character. If anybody has ever been your benefactor, even if you have any misgivings about them, you don't have the right to go and rubbish them in public for, whatever reason. That in itself, that public, denigration of your benefactors, old or current, among dramaturgy is elements of drama. One of the key elements of drama is character. Because you can't write a play without having characters, without having dialogue, plot, setting, and all of that. And characters are important in whatever drama, whether it is in politics or it is in the fictional world of literature. And I agree with the gentleman who wrote #character.
Character, yes.
That this speaks more to the character of Nyesom Wike himself. Who has he not fought? He has fought the Odilis, he has fought Senator John Mbata, he has fought Rotimi Amaechi, the man that made him local government chairman, made him chief of staff, made him Minister of State Education via recommendation. And I say, and I repeat, that President Tinubu himself should beware, he should be careful. Because when circumstances differ tomorrow, this character will not have any reservations whatsoever in coming after President Tinubu himself. And he has sent a signal by saying President Tinubu did not consult him before he declared state of emergency in Rivers State. He wanted the president to consult him. What impudence. However, he's saying Amaechi is hungry for power, not hungry for food. Okay, how is he different from Rotimi Amaechi? He has been fighting Sim Fubara in Rivers State, even after he had left the place. So what is he hungry for? Is he not also hungry for power? So, I mean, this hypocrisy, I think, should be called out. As for Felix Moka, well, Felix Moka is spokesperson of the All Progressives Congress, APC, and he's defending his boss by saying, look, the people who are criticizing President Tinubu that he's weaponizing poverty, that collectively, this person, either as vice president or minister or governor, spent 24 years in power. What did they do to solve the problem of poverty? And his main argument is that that inherited problem is what President Tinubu is trying to address. You may say his language is very strong, but in politics, where at a time when everybody is spreading propaganda, you know, that's what you get. However, I say that we're in Nigeria at a moment where we need healing.
Yes.
People should stop making enemies for the president. The president needs friends. As he prepares for the last lap of his first term, he will do better by having propagandists who will make friends for him, not the ones that will further alienate Nigerians and pit them against him.
Well said, Dr. Abati. Make more friends rather than enemies. We'll take another story now. The Boa Group, founded by billionaire businessman Abdul Samad Rabiu, has addressed accusations made by Hadiza Bala Usman, the former managing director of the Nigerian Ports Authority and current special advisor to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Hadiza Bala Usman had accused Abdul Samad Rabiu of distorting facts during an interview titled 2 Years of President Tinubu, a business perspective which highlighted Nigeria's reform trajectory and referenced past arbitrary disruptions to business operations. Well, during the interview, Rabiu stated that the Nigerian Ports Authority abruptly revoked his company's concession under Bua Foods operating at River Sports without notice, implying political motivation to favor a competitor. He said one day they woke up to a letter stating that the concession had been revoked without prior warning.
One day we woke up and we just saw a letter that the concession was revoked, the terminal was shut down, and that the lease agreement was terminated. And I was like, how could that be possible? So later we realized that the managing director of NPA then decided to shut their business. And the offense was that we were competing with, our business was competing with the business of, her friend, if you know what I mean. And she wanted to impress her boyfriend, and she decided to shut down the business. That was the only offense. That kind of thing is not happening, and it doesn't happen anymore, because nobody would go and do anything like that under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Well, Hadiza Bala Usman refuted the claims made by Abdul Samad Rabiu, accusing him of distorting the facts to mislead the public and deflect blame from BUA's contractual failures. She stated that BUA had received numerous warnings and default notices regarding its failure to meet the terms of its 20-year concession agreement for Rivers Port Terminal B, which began in 2006. In response to Hadiza Bala Usman's counterclaims, the BUA Group issued a statement maintaining that Usman acted unilaterally and ignored the concession agreement's arbitration clause. The BUA Group also claimed that they had been engaging with the NPA about infrastructure issues before Hadiza Bala Usman's appointment as managing director, and that she had used their letter regarding safety concerns as a pretext to terminate the agreement and shut down the terminal without warning or consultation. BUA also stated that after the initial shutdown, they were briefly allowed to resume operations, only to be shut down again by Usman's instruction, leading to over $10 billion in estimated losses. They challenged Usman to cite the specific clause that authorized her actions. I mean, Vimba, this issue began in 2006, like, they rightly pointed out. They went through arbitration, and BUA accused the Hadiza of flouting court orders in 2020. There was also a presidential directive, if you can pull up that directive, through the Attorney General of the Federation, which ordered the withdrawal of the termination issued to BUA and an order for the immediate reopening of the concession. Well, in 2022, BUA had received formal approval at that time to resume reconstruction works and has since invested over $65 million in construction at the port. The BUA Group emphasized that if Hadiza Bala Usman's actions were allowed to stand, it will negatively impact investor confidence by signaling that contracts in Nigeria are worthless and that court orders are optional. We saw the back and forth between the BUA Group and Hadiza Bala Usman. And of course, there was this also rhetoric, whether or not BUA had, used his relationship with former President Buhari to influence some of those orders. Vimbai.
All right. Well, I think for me, one of the primary chords that need to be struck with this is the issue around ease of doing business and the signal that is being sent to international investors, especially international investors that want to come and do business in Nigeria, that if some of your biggest are having this kind of spat in public with regulatory authorities, what does that say about the ease of doing business in Nigeria, the sanctity of contracts, and the rule of law around the business environment? So it's unfortunate that this is unraveling in the way that it is, because it's an echo. It almost reminds us of what happened just last year with Dangote and NNPC.
Yes.
You have your big business people clashing with government, and disputes will happen. The argument here is that, okay, well, one side is saying that Hadiza Bala Usman is saying, well, the contracts were not, they were not honored to the T. There were certain developmental obligations that BUA were supposed to meet in accordance with their 20-year tenure of that contract. Well, yes. BUA is coming and saying there were concessions that were granted, and you ignored those documents. So ultimately, like I said, these types of disagreements do happen, especially when you have people changing office and so forth. Number one, it's unfortunate that it needs to be a public spat that is now going to the extent of one saying, oh, she called her boyfriend. The other one is saying, oh, you were talking to the president. High net worth individuals all over the world have access to presidents. There's no way you will put this amount of money into a country without having some sort of very executive, backing and confidence in what you're. It's unheard of. But for me, the unfortunate part is how this reflects when people are reading the news from across the world, whether it be China, Italy, where our helpers, our destiny helpers, they are reading this news.
Yes.
And it's a negative portrayal, and I hope it can all just be resolved and concluded amicably.
Very quickly, You're very apt, Vimbai, and it is indeed a negative portrayal. What I want, part you were supposed to do in the contract, you were supposed to build a berth over this place. We cannot allow that happen. There's a drive now to bring in more FDIs.
Yes.
This is not a good one because other people will say it. But, Oji, I want to quickly brag. Somebody sent me this. I just left the residence of the former president of Ethiopia, Her Excellency Saleh Wike Zewde, and I was having a private meeting. She told me that she watches Arise TV regularly. More Africans need to become aware of Arise, the intellectual and professional rigor of its anchor and host, and rivals one of the best global news outfits. That's the former president of Ethiopia. Someone just left there. Yeah. In fact, Swazi Shabalala, when I went to interview her at the asylum of the IMF meetings, the candidate of AFDP was talking about what's trending, mentioned Ojiokwe, and said she's a big fan of Arise TV.
Well, tell them thank you very much.
So, top Africans around the world, including the president of Ethiopia, former president of Ethiopia, watches Arise TV. That's a bragging point.
Well, thank you, Rufai.
I just wanted to see that.
And thank you to
Okay, look, just to very briefly, there's something in the law of contract called the sanctity of contracts. And it is based on the principle that contracts are made in good faith. Whether it involves government or it involves individual parties, people are supposed to respect the terms of agreements in a contract. Now, it's when you violate the terms of the agreement that you then have court cases up and down. In Nigeria, most people do not understand the sanctity of contracts, whether it's government breaking the law or it's business people breaking the law. Now we have two versions. Hadiza Bala Usman is saying that she made the matter on the ground as far back as 2014 until she came in 2016, and that notices were served and all of that. And a part of that agreement was that the Boa Group will fulfill certain obligations which were not fulfilled. But that because Boa Group has access to the former president, okay, things happened and all of that and all of that. Now, people should just respect the sanctity of contracts.
Yes.
That's what is important. Not people behaving as if they are privileged, or people behaving that they are entitled, or another party behaving like, oh, we are now in charge. We can do as we like. Yeah. All that reference to a boyfriend and all that, no, that's completely out of the question. Yeah. Because there's also something called privity of contracts. Yes. Boyfriends don't belong within the scope of what we're talking about. Yeah. It's totally immaterial.
Well said, but it was refreshing for me to read Boa's statement where he made mention that about $65 million has been invested in construction in the Riversport, and this is the sort of investments that we want to see. We want to continue to highlight the people that create income in Nigeria. Like you said, we have to continue to follow up on this story and see where this information will take us. Well, all right. We'll take another story now. Let's take our story on the milestones. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has congratulated Bayo Ojulari, the group CEO of NNPC, on the occasion of his 60th birthday, praising his leadership and contributions to the oil and gas industry. Bayo Ojulari, a seasoned engineer, was born in Ilorin, Kwara State in 1965. He graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering from Mamadou Bello University, Zaria, in 1989, and began his career as a field and process engineer at Elf Petroleum Nigeria before joining Shell Petroleum Development Company in 1991. Over his 30-year tenure at Shell, he held various leadership roles, including Managing Director of Shell Nigeria Exploration and Production Company from 2015 to 2021. In January 2024, Ojulari joined Renaissance African Energy Company as Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, leading a consortium of indigenous energy firms in a $2.4 billion acquisition of Shell's assets in Nigeria. His appointment as GCEO of NNPCL marks a significant milestone in his career, positioning him to drive reforms and enhance operational efficacy within Nigeria's state oil company. Happy birthday. In his statement, President Tinubu expressed confidence in Ojulari's ability to further strengthen NNPC, noting recent increases in oil production, and urged him to continue serving Nigeria with integrity. And we have seen increases in the oil sector at this point. Congratulations to Ojulari, who was just made the GCEO of NNPCL only recently. Happy 60th birthday to him. Well, let's highlight another milestone story. Nigeria's former First Lady, Dame Patience Jonathan, has added a new feather to her cap, a doctorate degree in psychology, guidance, and counseling. Patience Jonathan received an honorary degree from the Ignatius Ajuri University of Education in Port Harcourt during its 43rd convocation ceremony over the weekend. In her remarks, the former First Lady emphasized the importance of lifelong learning and urged Nigerians, especially women, not to let age stand in the way of their academic goals. The event, which brought together dignitaries and well-wishers, also featured a spirited celebration led by women's groups in her honor. A viral video from the event captured the former First Lady in high spirits, dancing among the women as they sang her praises.
No age is limited to education. I will tell the Nigerian women and the youths, our children, that please, no age is limited. Try your best. If your mama, Mrs. Jonathan, can do it, you can do more than Mrs. Jonathan.
What a milestone, what a milestone. Well, Patience Jonathan also holds a National Certificate of Education in Mathematics and Biology from Rivers State College of Arts and Science, and a Bachelor of Education in Biology and Psychology from the University of Port Harcourt. Her career spans teaching, banking, and civil service. She's renowned for her advocacy for women and children's rights. Age is not a limitation. Dr. Abati, your former boss's wife.
Yes.
That was beautiful to see. Congratulations to her. She did earn her degree.
Well, congratulations to Mama Peace, who is now Dr. Patience Jonathan. And as she pointed out there, age is not a limitation. Doesn't limit your ability to continue to learn. In fact, the main thing about education is that learning is lifelong. And we would like to congratulate her on her determination, on her commitment, on her patience. Because a PhD is a test of endurance. It's not how smart you are. It's about your ability to be patient and to endure and to be humble. The truest mark of an intellectual is, humility in terms of knowledge. And for her to have been able to go through that rigor and obtain the degree is very commendable. And I would also like to say that, look, she represents a good example for the many people who just go and take honorary degrees, whereas they have not gone through the process.
Yes.
But she is a good example. The PhD is in guidance and counseling, in education, from the Ignatius Ajuru University of Education in Port Harcourt. And I could see that characteristically, she celebrated, and she had a group of women with her. Women Unite for SIM. Those were the women who were with her, on that occasion, and they danced and they, jubilated and all that. And she, thanked President Jonathan,
Yes.
who must have encouraged her, especially, you know, being a dutiful, loyal, you know, and
Yes.
devoted husband.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's all about family.
Fantastic.
For her to have been able to achieve this,
Yes.
family must be in support.
Fantastic. We all congratulate. Yes.
They're the ones that follow us.
Yes, we
Well,
all
I thought
congratulate.
the label was women for sin.
Women for sin.
Yes,
They follow.
congratulations to Dame Patience.
No
Jonathan.
innuendo
That was
intended.
beautiful. Absolutely. Beautiful ceremony. Congratulations to her. We'll take our good news report now, highlighting the chairman of Heirs Holding and United Bank for Africa, Tony Elumelu,
She helped Wike.
who has achieved yet another feat with the recent launch of United Capital's West African headquarters in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. Last week, Tony Elumelu visited the president of Côte d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara, as part of his engagements in the country and the launch of the United Capital's West African headquarters in Abidjan. Elumelu commended the president for creating an enabling environment for investors in the country, citing the success of Boa Group, which operates 20 branches and serves 1.2 million customers in Côte d'Ivoire. He stated that the country remains a significant hub for UBA's investments and thanked the president for the warm welcome and partnership.
Vous êtes où? Vous êtes qui? Je le joue. Ma pote va vous tuer. Il vient face à face. Vous êtes tout petit. Ma pote va vous tuer. You say what? Ma pote va vous tuer. Come on, show them your beauty. Ma pote va vous tuer. You say, je suis la star. Ma pote va vous tuer. You say what? Je suis le boss. Ma pote va vous tuer. Je suis la millionnaire. Everybody, are you ready now? See, levez les mains, levez les mains, levez les mains.
Nice to see you. Good to see you. You look well. You too, sir. You're adding millions. I'm honored to have been received by the president.
Another achievement for Tony Elumelu. Tony Elumelu reiterated that at Heirs Holdings, they advocate for Africapitalism and continue to support and play their part in creating jobs and prosperity across Africa. And this is what we were talking about, highlighting our private sector, those that are having these local investments in Nigeria. We see the UBA group go out there. They said they have over 20 branches in Côte d'Ivoire alone, 1.2 million customers. Congratulations on that amazing feat, opening that branch, that hub in Côte d'Ivoire. Well, another piece of good news from the banking sector. On May 29th, Fitch Ratings upgraded Fidelity Bank's national long-term rating to A+ NGA in recognition of the bank's strengthened capital buffers and improved profitability. The bank's CEO, Nneka Onyeali-Ikpe, emphasized that the upgrade validates the resilience of their business model, strong risk management practices, and commitment to delivering sustainable value despite a challenging macroeconomic environment. Additionally, the upgrade is expected to boost investor confidence in Fidelity Bank and support its ongoing efforts to expand operations both within Nigeria and internationally. This is another great feat for Nigeria and the banking sector. We know that the Fitch Ratings assesses the creditworthiness of an issuer. We know what Fitch Ratings means, indicating that the issuer is considered to have high level of credit worthiness. I am so proud of our private sector at this point. They continue to inspire us. Earlier, we touched on Boa and his investment, $65 million only recently to continue to, construct the Port Harcourt Rivers, the Rivers Port at this moment. Port concession to continue. I mean, there's a jetty there. He had invested $65 million in that. Well, I'd like to congratulate all of them, of course. Tony Elumelu, congratulations. The Bua Group, congratulations. Fidelity, congratulations. Well, that's all I have for you guys. I'd love to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on what's trending. Well, that's all I have for you.